Today we have a celebrity guest joining us, and you may recognize her from CNN Headline News. But now Nancy Grace has a new show called Swift Justice. And hi, Nancy, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Amber. Thank you for having me.
Right, and Swift Justice is a syndicated court series, and it's been one of the most anticipated new daytime shows. And just tell me how this show is a little bit different than your typical courtroom setting, and why did you all decide to do that?
Amber, it is way different from the typical courtroom setting. Amber, when they first told me they were interested in a justice show, I said, you will have to wrestle me in order to put me in a fake robe with a fake gavel and the pretend sheriff. There's nothing pretend about Swift Justice. We bring in litigants from all across the country out of the justice system, out of the courts, to be heard on Swift Justice to resolve their dispute. But we go beyond the typical he said, she said, where you really don't know who's telling the truth. We bring in witnesses and experts from all 50 states to prove or disprove a case. And there's another feature that's really cool. We have these giant monitors we turn into electronic witness stands where we beam in people from all over, be they body language experts, handwriting analysts, or my favorite, lie detectors for the litigants. But we also go to litigants that don't come to us. I go to them standing by at their home computer. I hear them, all their witnesses, and decide their case long distance. That's in addition to the litigants we bring to the set.
And so how do you determine which cases you want to hear? How do you select the people?
Well, you know, Amber, every case we pick stands for something, whether it is intimidation at the workplace, domestic violence, how to raise your children, bullies on the playground, people taking advantage of other people, injustice. It's everywhere from the workplace, home, neighborhood, as I said, the playground, and I don't like it.
Why do you think these courtroom shows are so popular right now? Why are audiences kind of watching these right now?
Well, you know, I learned that when I was a felony prosecutor fighting violent crime for so many years. I think that we are all fascinated to a degree with what lurks in the minds of the human, in the minds of men. I always take an example of Scott Peterson, who murdered his beautiful young wife and their unborn son, Connor. He looked like he had it all. A lot of people thought he was handsome. I didn't, but a lot of people did. Great education, great job, beautiful home, lovely wife, their first baby coming, and he was a murderer. He murdered her. And it was very difficult to look at him. It was like the mind was playing a trick on the eye or vice versa. It just didn't make sense. I think there's a fascination about the way humans choose to live their lives.
Right. And some people may not know this, but you were actually a crime victim as well, right? And how did this shape your career and your life?
That's true. Many years ago, just before our wedding, my fiance was murdered. Keith was shot multiple times in the face, the neck, the head, and that changed the course of my life. His life ended. My world exploded. I dropped out of school where I was studying to be an English, Shakespearean literature professor, and went back to law school to become a felony prosecutor. I think that shaped not only the rest of my life, but my view of the court system.
Right. And now you describe yourself as a victims' rights champion. And with this show, I mean, do you have an ultimate goal that you're trying to do with this show?
Well, I don't know that I would ever describe myself as a champion of anything. I would say that I try really hard to help victims and help them with what they go through and to let their voice be heard. And Swift Justice is really a broader arena than anything out there, where we seek with every case to do the right thing.
Right. And as a lawyer, do you feel that it's difficult to kind of step into the role of a judge now?
Well, really, I get to be the judge, the jury, the defense, and the prosecution. There's nobody sitting up on a bench telling us what we can and cannot do. If we can conceive of it, we can do it.
Right. And Nancy, you have a lot of fans, you know, but there's also some who may say that you're a little critical, a little tough on people. What do you say to those people? Well,
if they would analyze things a tiny bit closer instead of a blanket analysis. I think that there are certain moments in life when there's no other true way to be except tough. For instance, I was being quizzed about the death penalty recently, and that was on the eve of the Pettit family home invasion trial. I'm sure you've been covering it, where a whole family, a mother and 2 daughters, were tortured and murdered. Yeah, I don't think that being tough on crime is a bad thing, do you?